Gary Bauer reporting from Washington, D.C. The Middle East is in flames. American embassies are under attack. U.S. flags are being ripped down. Mobs chanting "Death to America." Sadly, this is the poisonous fruit of Barack Obama's failed foreign policy. This week in Benghazi, Libya, U.S. Ambassador Christopher Stevens, a dedicated civil servant, was brutally murdered along with Sean Smith, a Foreign Service officer, and 2 other Americans by an Islamic mob. Our hearts go out to their families and all that knew them. At the same time, the American embassy in Cairo, Egypt was overrun. Radical Islamists scaled the walls, tore down our flag, and raised a black flag that read, "There is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his messenger." Witnesses say the mob was chanting, "Obama, Obama, we are all Osamas now." Reports indicate Marines at the embassy were not permitted by the Obama administration to have live ammunition in their guns. The attacks were quickly blamed on an obscure web video that's critical of Islam and Muhammad. Prior to the attack on the embassy in Cairo, the staff released a statement that condemned the continuing efforts, they said, by misguided individuals to hurt the religious feelings of Muslims. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton weighed in. She said the United States deplores any intentional efforts to denigrate the religious beliefs of others. If only this administration felt the same way about American Christians. American officials issued these disgusting apologies on the 11th year anniversary of 9/11. What an insult. And what did the apologies bring? Nothing but more violence and bloodshed, like apologies to tyrants always bring. As the week has gone on, the turmoil spread to Yemen, where hundreds of protesters attacked the American embassy. Other violent protests erupted at embassies across the Middle East and North Africa. Meanwhile, while our embassy personnel are hiding under their desk, afraid for their lives, while mobs chant their death threats, the president leaves Washington, D.C. for more fundraisers and politics as usual. My friends, don't lose sight of the bigger issue here. There's no movie or speech, photograph, painting, picture, or essay that causes or can be excuses for these murderous outbursts. They are merely the excuses the rioters use for such violence. What causes these attacks is a radical Islamic infrastructure that keeps hundreds of thousands of people on the edge of murderous rampages. They're pushed over the edge whenever one of these convenient excuses emerges. Mosques across the world continue to teach that the path to Allah requires the infidel to be killed. The infidel, that's you and your family. That's all free men and women who refuse to submit to the radicals. Our government sources are telling us that these attacks were coordinated, involved the use of heavy weapons, and were planned for the anniversary of the 9/11 attacks. Yet Obama and his administration played right into the charade of Muslim outrage over Americans' alleged insensitivity. Don't fall for the myth that a film is responsible. The attacks are a consequence of Obama's weak approach to foreign policy, his so-called outreach to radicals in the Muslim world, his grand apology speech he delivered in Cairo, his letters sent to the mullahs in Iran begging for talks, his embrace of the Arab Spring long after the evidence was clear that it was turning into an Arab nightmare. Clearly, Obama's outreach has not won us any friends, nor brought stability to the region. Instead, it has signaled weakness. Meanwhile, the president pushes for massive cuts in defense spending this January. Obama and Clinton just don't get it. And sadly, because of their ignorance, more Americans will come home in body bags in the days ahead. This administration doesn't know how to grow our economy, and it doesn't know how to deal with our enemies. For the sake of our country's future, for the sake of the safety of our families, This administration has to go. This is Gary Bauer, signing off from Washington, D.C.
Campaign for Working Families is responsible for the content of this advertising.